So you have to realize, like, if somebody's really interested in buying or selling a property, unless they tell you to stop, just keep following up, because they understand that your follow-up is a reflection of your customer service.
Because the management and transparency is what's very important. So once you submit a referral, you're going to have your own Home Advantage account, and it's going to tell you where everything sits. So if you have 10 referrals that you've sent into the network, it's going to give you all 10 referrals. It's going to tell you every milestone that client is sitting in, whether they're touring homes, whether they're in escrow. And you now can manage through the Home Advantage application as far as what your pipeline looks like for the referrals that you've sent. And so it's pretty sophisticated, and it's all click of a button, guys.
Hey, everybody. We are live on Facebook. Thanks for being here to the 2023 LCA Chime Mastermind. Today, we are going to talk about strategies, implementation, best practices. We're going to answer your most frequently asked questions about CRMs, which ones to use. Well, not which ones to use, because you should be using Chime, right? But we're going to talk about what are the best lead sources, how easy or difficult is it to switch from one CRM to another, all of the questions. And I know the biggest question that's asked is, what CRM should I use? Well, duh, go to chime.me and you'll figure it out. Thank you so much for being here. We have a panel of experts. We have Robert Lucido. We've got Adam Frank. We've got, let me see, there's other names down here. You guys introduce yourselves. I don't want to do it all I don't want to do all of it myself. You guys introduce yourself. Stuart Sims. Stuart with Chime. Tell everybody what you do.
I am the Vice President of Industry Development. So I work with people like LabCoats to make the Chime experience that much better.
Awesome. Let's just go across the top of my screen. Adam Frank.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's me. What do you want to know?
Present. Tell everybody who you are and what you do.
I'm a nerd specialist. So I don't do production. I focus on the CRM stuff and automation. I engineer systems and processes to get results based on data and efficiency. So
love it. Well, nerd is the new jock. So welcome to the webinar.
I'm the architect of Chime in the way of poetry in motion for your database.
I love it. And Tristan Ahumada, people know who you are, but just remind them.
What's up, everybody? I'm sick today. That's who I am. Welcome to this amazing Chime webinar.
All right, we'll go take a nap. Nick Fielder, how's it going, buddy? Tell everyone who you are.
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on. I am the VP of Customer Success. So if you get anything out of this, if you sign up with Chime, if you get anything out of this, I'm going to go ahead and bury something at the very beginning of this, nick@chimeinc.com. So you sign up with us. If there's anything I can do for you, I work with our support team, onboarding team, our customer success team, anything else once you've joined our journey. That's what I do. So we'll be talking about that a little bit later, but I wanted to go ahead and give that at the front of the conversation, just so you know who I am and what I do. And nick@chimeinc.com. Go ahead. Hit me up.
Love it.
Yep. Okay.
People so one of you
already did that. Okay.
Robert Lucido. How's it going, buddy?
Great. Thanks for having me. Robert Lucido, CSO at Lucido Global.
Cool. Short and sweet. See, that's what I like.
Brevity, efficiency. I don't think people are here.
Rob, it was short and sweet. All right. Let's keep it that way. I'm just kidding, buddy. Katie, nice to see you.
Good morning. Katie Vaness with eXp Realty in Vancouver, British Columbia. Prime account or CRM is Chime. lover of Chime, affiliate of Chime, and teacher of the Chime Masterclass on Wednesday at 11 PST. So I have a hard stop, guys.
Great to have another Vancouverite on the call with us today. This is fantastic.
It's a beautiful day today. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, let's get started. I'm going to hand the reins over to Stuart.
Awesome, guys. Welcome, everybody. I see there's people from all over North America. It's fantastic to see that mass participation. It's great. And what we're going to do today is change the format a little bit, where we're going to go down a list of questions and have the industry thought leaders that we have on the call today kind of answer those questions. One of the things I see on a regular basis, and probably everybody does, whether you're on Facebook or Instagram, is many questions around CRM, how to implement a CRM, what CRM is best for you, or how to implement it effectively. So everyone on this call has thoughts on this and have gone through it more than once, I'm sure, as technology has changed over the years. And we've gone from products like Top Producer or Lion Desk to much more in-depth products that offer a full solution for real estate agents that replace, the typical 12 to 15 that an office might have. So let's start things off. Robert, I've gotten to know you pretty well over the last few months. Let's talk about when you're evaluating a new CRM, what are the kinds of things you really need to consider as you choose one and implement it?
I think one of the biggest things before you get into it, comparing all the features and so forth, the biggest thing first is to make sure there's structural alignment, meaning that if you're making a technology decision, you should be looking 5 years down the road and where you want to be 5 years down the road. So if you're, for example, a solo agent now, but you're looking to grow a team, or if you're a team now, but you're looking to scale or start other locations, does the software that you're considering support those endeavors? One of the biggest problems, I think, is that people will shift their business and create workarounds just to conform around a piece of technology, because the technology doesn't have the capability of conforming around how you choose to run your business. And I think that's a big shift there. And that's one of the reasons why we've been so successful with Chime, because we have well over 40 locations and we've been able to scale with in fact, no disruption at all. It's hyper scalable, super easy to stand up a new location. It's very cost effective as well.
Yeah, I'm going to add to that question for you just a little bit, because, we have people coming in the door, single agent teams and brokerage that are going through these evaluations. When you think about a team versus a brokerage, the part of adoption is obviously key. How do you get that adoption where you're getting all your team members or all your members of your brokerage to jump on with the new CRM platform?
Okay, well, I'll share some inside baseball on how we do it. So if you think back to when you started your Facebook account, the first thing they have you do is they're going to suggest about 10 people to you and ask you to add friends. Next, step 2, they're going to ask you to share your contacts and then suggest about another 100 people for you to add more friends. Sure. Only after you do that do they let you set up your profile and add your picture. And then for the next week, they're going to keep throwing more people at you to add more and more friends. And the reason why is they found out that if they could get you to add 7 friends in your first 10 days, they would retain you as an active Facebook user. And in the tech world, that's called an aha moment. What aspects of your onboarding process have these specific milestones that you're working in tandem with your agents to drive them to? And if you can figure out what those milestones or aha moments are, you'll get high levels of engagement. I'll give you one right off the bat. Get your leads into the CRM. If there are no leads in the CRM, you're not going to get any return on investment. And then, in fact, there's no reason for you to ever get on the CRM. So the number one thing you should be working with your agents to do is not only get base fluency with the tech, but to get their leads in there, specifically at least 200 leads, because the annual income for an agent skyrockets after they get the point of 200 leads in their account.
Very cool. Great advice. Thank you. Let's move over to Nick Fiedler and Robert. I'll ask you to chime in after Nick answers this one. So how difficult is it to move from one CRM to another? Nick, you're seeing people do this every day. And what are some of the challenges that you see and some of the solutions to overcome there?
Yeah, so I think the easiest way to think about this is like doing your taxes, right? So like, is it easy to do your taxes? Sure, it can be extremely easy if you have someone that's working with you and you give them all of the documents in the way that they need them. Now, we also have been in the spot, and I've been in the spot many times in my life where I've delivered a bag of crumpled receipts and said, this is all my business expenses. Here's all I've done. And that takes a lot longer time. So is it easy? I would say Chime makes this very easy for you to do, to come over to us. At the same time, I would say, like, assess where you're at. If you have people's names written on notepads, you've kind of put them into your previous CRM, they don't have an active email or a phone number or things like that. We give you templates, we give you everything to bring it over, and we'll help you with that. So it can be easy, but the biggest thing that you can do, regardless of if you're using Chime or someone else, is to clean up your data. Do you know who these people are? Do you know who your leads are? Do you know how you're organizing them? And we'll give you the template to bring them over. We can do that very easily and put them in there. There are other spots to that which we'll help you out with. So if you're coming from a CRM that has different playbooks that you're using and you're reaching out to those, we can look at whatever you've already done with your current leads. But the biggest thing is just to have a clean lead system, which is what we would all aspire for anyway. But yes, it's easy. If we'll give you the template, it's pretty straightforward. I think we can pass to, Robert's brought a lot of his people in here, so he can tell that from a non-biased perspective of how easy or hard it is to come over.
So really what you want to do to get ready is, the old adage of clean data in versus, piling all the junk that you've had over the last 20 years as a real estate agent. Get good, clean data, bring that across and start working that. And the results should be better from that perspective. Robert,
100%.
When you look at the whole picture, what do you think you should do to ensure a smooth transition from one CRM to your new CRM?
Well, first, if you're going to make that decision, figure out why, and then architect your strategy around that why. Like, don't just begrudgingly make that switch. You're making the switch for a reason, so take advantage of it. When we switched from, we were on Boomtown before. When we switched from Boomtown to Chime a few years back, I wouldn't say it was easy. The team worked in tandem to make it 100% manageable. It was a very effective and a smooth process, but it still took a lot of work. And that is because we actually leaned into it. So we had a significant data issues with our database because we had some structural impediments with Boomtown. So instead of just taking all the leads and just dumping them into Chime, we scrubbed the database, and we actually created a program where it would match up our transactions with those respective lead opportunities retroactively. So we had our transactions in a separate database than our CRM. So we didn't really have an up-to-date database. We fixed that before we imported into Chime. We also scrubbed invalid phone numbers, invalid names, and so forth. So we took it as an opportunity to improve the database quality before we imported. We also took it as an opportunity to improve the way in which we structure our websites and design those websites. And over the last 2 years, we've 10x'd our website traffic on a monthly basis. Very cool.
What about, one of the things that's super important right now, especially with social media, is content. When you do this kind of progression into a new CRM, are you moving a lot of that content as well? Or are you just coming in with a live, clean database? That's for you, Robert.
The content on the leads, or
content like marketing content, email templates.
Okay, so the answer is, so for example, in Boomtown, we had drip plans. Basically, we took those drip plans and we cut it down to the core, most effective touches, and then we completely rebuilt them within Chime because they're not analogous. You can do a whole bevy of things in Chime that you can't do in Boomtown. And so it wouldn't make sense just to say, let's just copy it verbatim over, because then you're not taking advantage of what the tech can do. So the answer is, we took the best elements and then we completely rebuilt it and revamped it. Our open rates are over 50%.
Wow, that's amazing. Great. Adam, one for you. So Chime has tons of features, right? We can talk about them basically all day long. Where's the best place to start that you will see the biggest impact with a new CRM out of the box?
I'm going to say it's two things, and they are so intimately related, I cannot keep them separate. One was already touched on, and that is you need to have an organized database. If you look at highly productive individuals, they typically do not have a desk filled with garbage. So if you in your life and in your business are organized and maintain that consistency, that is going to reflect in your business and in your conversion and production level and income. With that, your follow-up. You need to have something to send. I see this all the time. People, they get a new system, they import their leads, they turn on advertisements, and 3-4 weeks later, they're like, I can't keep up following up manually. And it's like, why are you not automating this stuff? So like you have to feed somebody something, right? It's like getting lead generation turned on before you have your database organized and your follow-up systems in place is like inviting friends and family over for a dinner party and you haven't even gone to the grocery store yet. You need something to feed them. So you need to prepare, you need to have something in place, and then worry about feeding everybody after that.
So would you say having your smart list set up right away is one of the key pieces? So the follow-up is happening right out of the box, and some of the heavy lifting that you could be missing because you're going through that transition?
Yes. And your lead generation and your follow-up and your execution in person is just a continuance of conversation that starts with the ad copy and your advertisement. So that consistency and continuity is what is important to managing and delivering the client experience, which will help you convert more leads from curiosity to closing. So you can't have effective follow-up if your database is not organized. They have to be together. You have to have an organized database, utilize the pipelines, the groups that fit it the way that your brain works and your business process works. You can completely customize that, then tailor your follow-up with your smart plans to reflect that so you can continue the conversation from your advertising through the client experience as a lead and then set more appointments. It's like, that's literally the blueprint.
Yeah, that's awesome. That makes a ton of sense to me. Nick Baldwin, any other thoughts on that question? What is the best place to start to have the biggest impact?
So, I mean, honestly, the best place to start to have the biggest impact for me was always people that I know, people that I've done deals with before, your sphere of influence, setting people up on, I'm always a big fan of monthly drip campaigns, holiday text messages, emails, handwritten cards. I mean, that to me is the biggest bread and butter, I feel, for any agent. And if you don't have past deals, everybody knows somebody. And by the way, it doesn't matter if the person lives in another state, right? It doesn't matter if the person doesn't live near where you live. Referrals don't know boundaries. So to me, having a really great touch plan mixed with texting, emails, and handwritten cards, home anniversaries, birthdays. And also for me, I feel like sending cards or texts or emails when someone least expects it is for me the best strategy. Like, here's an example.
And are you setting up the AI in Chime to actually do that on a regular basis?
I like to create my own. Messages, but I've just always been someone who likes to just write their own messages out.
Gotcha.
Because I like it to sound like me. People know like kind of how I sound. They like know my sarcastic sense of humor.
Yeah, you've got that reputation, right? So,
but I was
lots
saying,
of people know you.
For me, reaching out to people when they least expect it on birthdays and holidays are great. But when little Timmy scores that first touchdown, that's a cool time to reach out, right? Because that's something that's super important to somebody, but yet they don't expect to hear from you when something like that happens.
Awesome. Thanks for that input. Let's move to Katie. Katie, fellow Vancouverite, what's your favorite Chime feature and how do you recommend using it for best results?
I'm a little like Adam, they go hand in hand. And for me, it is the single property promotion page. I love it. I use it in all the ways, and it makes my sellers happy. For one, it is the best show off of the spend for my multimedia that we use for our listing promotions.
Maybe you can explain what that is a little bit.
When you make a single property landing page to promote your listing in Chime, it's just such a beautiful template. You have a large header, the ability to pull through your videos, and to use all those call to action blocks, whatever you so choose. But most importantly, to just showcase that property and the photos that we've had taken. So I do a little bit of tweaking. I have some best practices around it. For example, using the high resolution photos on the header, I just think it shows better. And I love the flow of the listing details on those pages. So to then combine that with the social studio and promote that landing page on the 5 channels we've connected, that's been a really great result for us. And then the lead capture from that way that Chime displays the data to the customer once we've connected with them. So I know that's a little bit of an odd feature to say that you love, but I feel like this is something that gets missed in a lot of the Chime webinars. So I'm going to geek out a little bit.
No, that's perfect. That's what I love.
Okay, cool. So I get a lot of great feedback from our leads of, wow, this is so professional. That's usually in response to the CMAs. Okay, so that comes after the lead contact and that lead conversion steps, we make that connection. But there's a gap right in between there where Chime fills nicely. And that is how it communicates the market data, the sales reports, the sold listings, the active listings, how that email communication comes through is so effective with even just showcasing. I had a lead come through from listing promotions. They automatically got contacted by the AI. So lots of different features here, but really it's just in how it presented the data to that lead. Once she was in our lead capture, it was, no, thank you. It was a really expensive property. When I win the lottery, ha, 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 not interested. But then she got put on the sales report. Sales report is 4 contacts. You saw the price going down each time. She clicked, what's my property worth? Can I get a home valuation? Which triggered the call, and then the rest is sort of history. To me, that's, and that they also commented on how professional the CMA looked once they received it after we had that first appointment. So it's just in how that data is portrayed to the client. It's so beautiful and seamless, and aesthetics mean something.
So you mentioned social studios as well. So you're posting your listings and these so there's 5 social medias that you're using within Chime. So Facebook, Instagram,
Google Business, LinkedIn, and Twitter are connected.
And have you seen an uptick in the results that you're getting there as well?
So I have seen an uptick, but I've also seen an uptick in the coaching connections too, through people saying they've been recommended on Google myself. And I don't do any paid marketing in that respect. So I think that there's also a bit of a connection with that coming through. So I can say yes to that question.
Cool. Robert, same question. What is your favorite Chime feature and how do you recommend using it to get the best results?
All right. I'm going to keep it, I guess, more simplistic. Number one determinant of success in your CRM is first getting the leads in there. Chime makes it very easy. There's the import templates you can use. You can also import via your phone contacts or Google contacts. You can also add manually if you choose to do so. Now, another big feature here for any teams or brokerages is that Chime supports the ability for private leads. This was a key differentiator in our business. And it dramatically affected our engagement and adoption. We have over 100,000 private leads that have been added by agents just in the last year. So number one would be get your leads in there and use the systems to get them in there pretty effectively. Number two would be nurturing them properly. And 2 simple practices everyone can implement is put all your seller leads on a market report, put all your buyer leads on an intuitive buyer property alert. You can also, if you choose to, put them on a market snapshot. Those are plug and play. It's going to deliver them high quality information. It's going to get you about a 50% open rate, and then call them once per quarter. If you do those 2 things, you'll be a lot more effective.
Awesome. Are you using any of the other things that Katie mentioned, the social side of things, to promote the business as well? The CMA tool, all combined to deliver a real solid marketing package?
Yeah. So actually, you guys just pushed the social studio team Over the last year, we went through the process of setting Google business profiles up for every single one of our locations. And now with your team product, we're going to be able to control that centrally and automate posting based upon MLS feeds. So the answer is yes. And we're really excited that you guys pushed out that team product.
Cool. Adam, and I mean, Robert's been talking about lead generation and importing your leads and how that is the effective part of the system. But let's talk about that. So we talk a lot about lead conversion. What tips do you have for teams, brokers, agents on how to maximize that lead conversion through Chime?
So one of the things that drew me to Chime, I've been using it for about 3.5 years now. One of the things that drew me to Chime that was different than others is every other real estate CRM on the market talks about their lead generation capabilities. Chime does not. Chime focuses on conversion. We don't have a lead generation problem in the real estate industry. We have a lead conversion problem. We're so focused on trying to cherry pick the one night stand type of lead of just the hit it and quit it. And we're making a ton of excuses why we can't convert and why these leads are junk. It's just, it's absolutely not accurate. There isn't a bad quality lead. They're just a lead that isn't ready to convert yet. So I think we need to have a real honest conversation with ourselves and look in the mirror and talk some smack on ourselves that we don't have bad leads, we have bad follow-up. So we need to improve those things.
But one of the big issues, and I agree with you 100%, is you've got a lot of the leaders out there. So you hear Gary Keller talking top of funnel. Inman, they always talk top of funnel. And I agree with you. It is a conversion problem. So let's go into some details of how you use the system to make that happen.
AI assistant and smart plan automations. You need to have, so my process, my workflow is new leads come in from online. AI assistant qualifies them up to 5 days. They're tagged automatically by the bot. I set up automations to automatically triage or sort into specific pipelines based off those tags. And I organize my database based on the timeline that they are to meet in person to transact. So I'm getting that in-person, face-to-face consultation set as quickly as possible, because if you're the first agent that meets them in person, there's about an 89.7% chance, based on the different sources, you're going to be the one that's hired. So getting the agent in front of that lead in person when they're ready is going to pretty much solidify that business for you, or I should say that business opportunity. So once they're in those pipelines, I have nurturing smart plans that are based on the timeline. So like a lead that's ready to rock and roll within 30 days or less to meet in person, that's going to be a different conversation than somebody that just got out of college and wants to rent for a year or two to figure out where they want to live in the city. Completely different conversations, completely different smart plans. But both of those leads will convert. The timing is just going to be different. So knowing it, and again, it goes back to what I said earlier about having that continuity and that continued conversation that matches my business, right? So many agents, part of the problem with such lead conversion is they want anybody and anybody, and they're so desperate for leads. There was like 329 million leads sold by Zillow last year, 6.9 million transactions. Run the math on that.
Yeah.
They're just selling data. They're selling phone numbers and email addresses. So 6.9 million people actually transacted. That's the key. That number can be improved. But it's, if you don't do new construction, don't advertise, don't try to convert those leads, because your conversion is going to go down. If you specialize in first-time homebuyers and military relocation because you're located right in Fort Hood, Texas, you need to put a backpack on with that stuff and ride that into the sunset. That is your business. Your follow-up needs to reflect your brand, which is the public perception of you as a business person and you as the client experience that your business provides. If you're advertising and your follow-up and your execution in person are not doing that, you're going to have really, really terrible results. So keeping that in mind, and AI assistant, smart plans, match your business and just go with it. That's what's going to work.
Cool. So Katie, I'm going to ask you the same question. But I'm going to throw something in there as well. So, when you think about your database, how many people do you actually have in that database today? And how many do you think you could actually personally reach out to in a year?
That's such a good question. I was thinking of this the other day. It's like, how come it feels like I'm seeing some of the same names on these pages, and where's the progress being made? And I answered my own question. It's really, that's a hire that needs to happen and another hire for this. But the lead conversion process, it's really something that I have such a hard time letting go of. So I think, I think to answer your question, the potential is just whatever we make of it. It just is how I can, I just don't know how to give you an exact number really on that.
You don't have to give me an exact number. It's cool. It's fine. I use the example of, when someone has 10,000 people in their database, they're going to reach out to 300 probably personally in a year. And then you need a system to convert the other 9,700 that you have in your database. So what are you doing with Chime to help your lead conversion?
Well, with Chime, for us, honestly, it's those smart plans and the communication that's going out and keeping up with them. It's also the AI assistant that's connecting with the leads when they come back on. For me personally, for my productive actions, it's using the opportunities tab and the activities tab to help me identify. That's been with this software a little bit of a shift in my best practices, whereas in the past, I would go say, hit my hot pipeline on a Monday or hit my new leads on a Tuesday morning, just kind of more time blocking. How I've noticed with agents and with using this new software and how our market and our industry has changed. And I'm not saying it's for the better, is we're time blocking large chunks of time less, and we're seeming to use our apps and this means of lead reaching out and conversion on the go. And so we might not block for 100 calls in a day and make several blocks of 8 to 10 calls throughout the day, whether we're our desktop or a mobile app. Does that answer your question?
Yep, absolutely. Robert, tell me about lead conversion and how you use Chime to get things where they should be, maximizing the dollar value or the ROI.
All of our leads go through our ISA team. So, that ratio, if you have 10,000 leads and you're only calling 300 per year, people are not going to be working with us any longer. You really have to be present. If a lead got to 4 calls with us, the likelihood of conversion went up to 50%. It was 50% higher. So systematizing that follow-up is really important. Like you guys said, it's not a generation issue, it's a conversion issue. In fact, if you're willing to spend the money, you can get leads. It's not hard. It's who's ever willing to pony up the most. They're selling over 200 million leads per year. Leads are a commodity now. Just whoever wants to pay the most for the lead. Where you really differentiate is on that conversion aspect. And that's what we're doing with our ISA team. It's really effective.
Yeah, it's interesting because back in 2005, there was 6 million lead generated from 6 million homes sold. Last year, there was 110 million leads from those same, or even less. I think it was just under 5 million homes sold. So the consumer is becoming much more educated. So the experience that they have to go through with a real estate agent to actually gain the listing is so much deeper. So, how do you overcome that, right? The consumer knowledge on real estate.
Well, first, there's a massive difference between a lead and an opportunity and a lead and an appointment. So I just wanted to put that out there. You're correct in your point that everyone's focused on top of funnel because it gets the most eyeballs, but there's no money made top of the funnel. Unless you drive them down the funnel, you guys are losing money. So you should it's for example, in the bodybuilding world, they say 10% in the gym, 90% in the kitchen. It's the same thing for lead generation. 10% is capture, 90% is conversion. If you're not spending 90% of your time on figuring out how to convert more leads, what are you doing? I could go into how we do it with our ISA team, but it's very robust. We have a whole quality assurance division. Our VP of sales used to run the ISA team over at Rocket Mortgage. So it's very, very thorough. We follow every opportunity up for 4 months from our quality assurance division on top of the ISAs and agents. So we have a lot of redundancies to ensure no opportunities slip through the cracks.
Interesting.
The biggest thing I want to sneak in here is what works for me as follow-up, and we can go into detail. That's all I do is follow-up stuff. What's worked really well for me last year, I create a customized easy button for the client that when they're ready, they push that and this is going to happen. They're just the way they want to have it to happen. That easy button is going to look different for everybody. They use an agent because removes a lot of the difficulty in going at this that they would experience by themselves. So instead of doing like the whiny toddler thing, like, well, we're ready to buy, I'm here to help, right? No. What can I do to make this process easier for you? That is the template that it has the highest response and shows that, look, I don't care about anything else. I'm here to help you make this easier for you because you've got a lot going on. What can I do for you? This is a customer service industry. Making that custom easy button for them and putting it right in front of them. You can get, and I have agents that I've worked with and I talk with, they are in double-digit lead conversion consistently last year. 11, 12, 13% online leads. It is doable. You just got to put in the work.
Wow. That's cool. I love that concept of an easy button where the interaction just becomes seamless. That's fantastic. Let's shift gears a little bit. So I'm not sure if everybody knows this, but I used to run the top producer business for Realtor.com, their CRM. And I used to hear this all day long when I was listening to phone calls or talking to real estate agents, is that they don't want to spend all day in the CRM, right? They've got to be out on the road. They've got to be trying to meet new people. So one of the advances that I've seen in the last 3 to 4 years, 5 years is automation, right? So how can we set things up to be as automated as possible? And I'm going to go back to Adam. Adam, you're still on the screen, so let's take your opinion on that one.
It's again automating follow-up. My follow-up process and workflow is I'm using automation with the AI assistant, with automatically having. The reason I like the AI assistant, it's not perfect. I've actually screwed up more conversations in person with leads than the bot ever has. So like, check your ego. You're not gonna do better than the bot. Just let it run. So I'm using the automation because I like that conversational follow-up. Instead of using a drip campaign to ask 6 to 10 qualifying questions, the bot will do that 5 to 7 minutes easy when it gets a response while I'm doing other things. So it's a time replacement concept.
So it's helping you with some of the heavy lifting. Making sure that you're reaching out to your whole database, that kind of thing.
Yes, and as the leads come in, and as the leads are exhibiting behaviors in the system, the AI assistant is reaching out to qualify them based on those interactions. And with my automations sorting into pipelines and putting into groups to get my attention, I basically I'm using the Chime automations to separate and show me the hand raisers from the tire kickers, because 80% of my manual follow-up energy is put into the hand raisers. So 98% of my follow-up is automated. I only do about 2% manual follow-up. So the automatic nurturing, the automatic organization of the database based on different parameters, lead score, I'm using Revaluate for public data mining. That's going to go through Zapier to transition into a series of Facebook and Instagram retargeting ads based on their scores matched up with their pipelines. So I've got a lot of stuff going on, and that's like a set and forget kind of situation. So I'm following up in the system. I'm also retargeting them on social media because, let's face it, property alerts are great and they're effective, but if you have an iPhone, look at your time spent checking emails versus social media. You spend hours a day on social media. I haven't checked my personal email address in probably 6 or 8 weeks. You need to be where people are. So those automations with the AI, with the follow-up, using Revaluate, going outside of the Chime world in conjunction with that, with Zapier and social media to get in front of people and make sure that they may not like me, they may not respect me, but they're going to know who I am. And that is key.
Gotcha. Robert.
I'm just looking in the chat. There's a few questions here. Like, if you had to come up with 10 smart plans, what I would do is sit down and think about the top 5 situations that cover the most leads or most opportunities that you come across. Just start with one. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be super complicated, but everyone thinks and gets overwhelmed. Oh, I have to have 10 and I have to have, a cover for 17 years. Just start simple, solve a situation for yourself so you can systematize it and automate it. Another thing was talking about again, how to build these campaigns and how to automate. We automate everything except for those phone calls. And when you get an automated phone call task, the expectation is you make that call or the smart plan doesn't continue. So when you guys are sending emails and text, you should be working to generate interest. A pitfall is people will send a text and try to close via text without ever generating the interest. So all of our emails and text, we have a proper balance of formatted and unformatted emails. We also have targeted text messages. Again, everything that's automated is designed to drive interest, not trying to close them in that medium. You also want to tailor the message with the medium, meaning that whatever you're sending, you should be sending it with the most effective medium, either email or text. If, for example, if you're going to send videos, you typically want to send them via email, because if you're sending them via the native text, it's going to show up as a link and people are going to be reluctant to click a link via text. So calibrate and correlate the messaging with the medium, and then focus on generating interest. And once you get that interest from the other person, then get them on the phone and work to get an appointment.
I just want to add one thing real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
About those of you who are, well, what I hear a lot is like, well, that, following up that many times, following up 3 times in the first day and following up 5 times over the course of 3 days, it just seems like a lot to me. Here's the thing. In my experience, I've gotten more people who say to me, thank you so much for your follow-up, than tell me to go do something to myself that I anatomically can't do, So you have to realize, like, if somebody's really interested in buying or selling a property, unless they tell you to stop, just keep following up. Because they understand that your follow-up is a reflection of your customer service.
Mm-hmm.
So
very, very good point. Absolutely.
You're paying the same monthly fee for Chime if you've got 1 lead or 1 million leads. It doesn't cost you any more money to follow up more frequently. Just do it. And keep in mind, follow-up is not so much who you want to work with and who wants to work with you. It's sorting out the ones that don't, right? Dating example, you go out on a lot of dates with people when you're single, trying to figure things out, right? I've dated quite a few women in my life. I've been in 2 relationships. That's it. Out of all of them that I
stud you.
Just 2 in a relationship.
Next webinar will be Adam Frank's tips
dating
for
tips.
Only
my team
having 2 relationships but dating many women.
My team took 17 listings last year by me cruising the dating apps and using it as a write-off for marketing. If you go to Match.com, here's a pro tip. If you go to Match.com and do a profile, you can sort by currently separated as a relationship status, and you can get those leads for a sale and then 2 purchases prior to the divorce attorney even getting a hold of them. Because at that point, the relationship is over and they probably haven't filed for divorce yet. So,
oh my God.
Okay, so I'm going to, before I go to Nick Fiedler really quickly, we are going to do a giveaway, a couple of giveaways at the end. We were going to do them midstream, but the chat has been really active, so we'll save them till the end. So Nick, give me quickly 5 points on what parts of the system can be automated.
I'm sorry. First of all, as Chime, officially, we're saying don't do anything with Match.com that is Chime permitted. Yes, if that's a great tip for you, go use it. That's great. I'll jump into that. There were a couple things that I wanted to say.
Does Chime have a Match.com plugin we can use?
We need to go away from this completely. We'll talk about that later if it's in development. I want to jump into the chat real quick. I'll go into that with automation. There are a couple things in here. Do we have a Zapier integration? Yes, we do. A lot of you are talking about like, hey, Robert, how do you do things? One of the great things about Robert, he's one of our premier clients, and he's helped us develop a lot of what we do with our system. Robert's in a lot of the internal webinars that we do, teaching what he does with his teams. He's got a lot of teams. They're high producing. They're innovators in what they do in their space. So if you're with Chime, you have the ability to get into a whole bunch of webinars that Robert is part of. So I would say that. I'm just scrolling up real quick to see if there's
okay.
anything
We're
else
gonna do a Q&A bit, but let's get to the right. So five places where you can really use the automation effectively.
Yeah. So I think the top pieces here we're talking about, first of all, there's no bad lead. We mentioned that already. So the idea of a CRM is to capture every single piece of data that you could possibly have. And your agents may say, we've got a bad lead. This person's not ready to buy. Well, I just anecdotally, I'm looking for some land. It's out in Texas. I happen to accidentally land on some Chime user space, right? So here's what happened. I Google searched land in Texas in the spot that I was looking for, ended up on somebody's site, asked about something. What immediately happened was I got a text. Hey, saw that you were looking for some land in Texas. Here's where here's what I have. Here's what I do. And then I got on a smart plan, which is what we do. I had emails once a week that give me updated information about that. I get texts that are once every 2 weeks about, hey, this is a new one. If you don't want to know it right now, let me know. I'll stop texting you. I went through our whole process and I didn't even know this was a Chime user until I went to our system and said, wait a minute, who is talking to me right now? And I found out that it's a Chime user that has a Chime website. I didn't even know it was a Chime website, but I'm on this automation list. So when I'm talking about automation, I think what you need to think about it is like, I'm not going to buy this land for about 1.5 years. But there's no bad lead because your agents could tell you, well, this person's not buying. I am going to buy that land in 1.5 years. The reason that we have a CRM, we have automation is because you have to figure out what bucket to put someone in. I'm in the bucket of 1.5 years bucket in Texas buying land. Done. And the reason that you want something that says, hey, I want to put you on a plan that's going to text me text him once a month, text Nick once a month, send him updates every 30 days is fine, or every 45 days of what we have. The reason that you have a CRM is so that you can gauge who your buckets are. If you're a Nick buying land in Texas, then your bucket should be, this is what I want to automate. So the text system sending me new listings as they come out, sending me new land as it comes out, the email system, following up, and just being able to put me on a plan is the biggest thing you can do for me. It's the same thing you can do for any of your other clients. We automate that whole piece. And that's why Chime is a good solution for what your clients want, regardless if it's land in Texas or if it's a house up in Scottsdale. But those are the pieces that we're building in. But the automation is going to be a smart plan, texting, calling. Like, we can automate all of those pieces for you and give you listing updates as they come. New house on the market, done. We can do all of that. And it pushes them back to your website, which pushes them back to your CRM.
Very cool. I'm going to go to Katie really quickly. We got about a minute before we want to get to some good Q&A. Katie, what are your thoughts on best sources for lead generation right now today? And you're in Canada, so it might be a little bit different, but let's go there.
For us, like Google pay-per-click, those are going to be our best sources. Second to that is the social media. And I think third to that is our organic reach. Never stop questioning your own organic capabilities and the different ways in which you can post to get engagement. Yeah.
Are you doing that all on your own, or are you using Chime services, or it's all yours?
I have not used Chime services yet for the Google pay-per-click. Actually, that is something on my list. I've been talking with Chris about that. So yeah, thank you.
Robert, what about yourself? Lead generation. What are your best sources?
We're heavily focused on PPC as well. As a benefit of how we structured our websites, we get tens of thousands of uniques every month. So our organic traffic is a key driver as well. But, while digital advertising is a key aspect to running a sales funnel, don't lose sight of open houses and SOI. In KW last year, the number 2 source for transactions across all KW agents was open houses. learn how to master the open house and use Chime's technology to capture people via the open house form, have a smart plan engage. I mean, I was basically converting about one deal per open house when I was hosting them a couple of years back. And then don't lose sight of your SOI. Like, don't feel awkward reaching out to them. Have a purpose for why you're reaching out to them. It makes you feel more comfortable. But we have call blitzes across our organization, and we're generating dozens of opportunities just off that SOI that people wouldn't have known if they just didn't pick up the phone and call.
That's amazing. That's great. Good stuff. I think I love what we both say, because I believe Google is really strong right now to get really good, solid leads coming in the door.
There's really real quick. There's really there's technically two lead sources when you look at it, and one of those sources can be cut in half. It's either online or in person, right? And you can break it down the hierarchy from there. Online, it's either going to be search engines, which I include YouTube in that, or social media. So it doesn't matter if you like Zillow, they run PPC. They're doing it's a search engine. They do search. Somebody does a search, their ad shows up, their website shows up. That's how they're getting in it. It's search engine and social media. So when you're talking about when people are talking about what lead source, how about this? Advertisers are running PPC ads. They're running Facebook ads and throwing them in your CRM. There really isn't any much of a differentiator between that. Everybody's going with PPC. Everybody's going with Facebook and YouTube ads and all that stuff. So just keep that in mind. They're all online, all from the same place. And this is going back to just be careful about lead generation and about where you put your money. Make sure you know your numbers, and make sure you know the totality of the circumstance when you're doing lead generation, especially online.
Very cool. Thanks, everybody. Let's do this. To have a shot at winning the gift cards, all I need you to do is in the chat, type in what CRM you're using today, and we will choose 2 winners pretty much right away. I see tons of Chime. Wow. Kendra, you want to take care of the winners? That would be fantastic. Questions that came out, guys, that you think need to be answered that you saw when we were walking through this? Now it's getting inundated with
I got 2 around automation. So tying in lead generation with automation. One of the things we were really happy to build out with the Chime team was UTM, Urchin Tracking Module. What that means, to keep it simple, is that we're able to track a lead all the way back to the keyword that captured them. So if someone goes to Google and types in home for sale in Miami, Florida, we're able to capture that and port it right into the CRM. So when you capture a lead, you know exactly what they searched in order to capture that opportunity. And then what it also allows you to do is then look back and trace things back up the funnel, because what everyone else manages to is cost per lead, but that's only one aspect of the equation. You also need the qualitative, how good are these leads, what keywords are converting at the highest rate, so you can track it back up the funnel. That's something that Chime offers that I don't think any other CRM company offers. Number 2, speed to lead. A lot of questions around what can you automate? Have a backstop so that a smart plan will engage within 2 minutes post-registration. If you're able to call before, it'll stop the smart plan. But if not, you have a backstop there. I'll share some internal stats. Last year, 60% of our closings from the ISA team were converted in the first 24 hours post-registration. And if we were converted them in the first 24 hours, on average, they closed in 5 months. The deals that we converted outside of the first 24 hours, on average, took 15 months. So be very focused on your speed to lead, and know that if it gets outside the first 24-hour window, you're going to have your systems in place to automate that follow-up, because it's 15 months worth of work.
Wow. Anybody else want to add to Robert's thoughts?
I love everything you just said, Robert. And also just wanted to add in there and answer someone else's question at the same time about the smart plans and automations is you could create the most simplest of basic smart plans, even with just a handful of touches specific for your lead capture and how they came in. So to be as warm and specific, like Brian Short's example in our Facebook group a few days ago, if you did a new construction post, instead of just reaching out about, hey, this new lead and introducing yourself, to specifically say that you're offering a new construction VIP program, and just being a bit more engaging in that reach out specific to what the lead came in on.
Awesome. Thanks, Katie. Adam, any last thoughts?
Kind of building off of what Robert said, you can, like you talk about like the UTM codes coming in, and especially if you can add those as a tag, properly in the system, you can use those to basically create that tag in the system and then trigger a smart plan based off of that tag for something specific. So let's say you're advertising, pool homes in Tampa, Florida. You can have a smart plan kickoff that I recommend having video. I use Dub for it, but you can use BombBomb as well. But you can put a video in there to have discussions about what it's like to have a pool in the area, how that's going to affect values, things like that, or equestrian properties, or a condo versus detached home kind of thing. So tailoring it back to what I was saying before, that continuation of conversation. And when you're going from the ad to the follow-up, Chime allows you to custom tailor that follow-up based on their specific situation and have a meaningful, relevant conversation, which is going to help them trust you more and faster than if you just kind of blasted out some generic garbage.
Very cool. We have two winners. Fantastic. Mike Van Grinsven and Robert Brabanek. We will reach out to you guys and send you your gift cards. I'd like to finish off just by saying great topic today. I think we covered a lot in the 57 minutes we were talking. And I just want to say thanks to each one of you for being candid and very upfront about what Chime can do and where we can really benefit the agent team and broker community. I kind of let Tristan off the hook today because he's not feeling well. Any closing thoughts, Tristan, and we'll wrap this one up.
Don't forget the blog section of Chime. It's extremely powerful right now with OpenAI.
Great point. Last thing I'll say is we are offering 54% off on your activation fees for this month if you sign up to Chime. And that's basically your setup fees. 54%. It's a neat number, but that's the reality of it. So thank you, everybody, for attending. Really great hour. And I look forward to our next session with Lab Coats.